Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode of Legally Nessa. I've realized that over the past videos I don't ask you guys to subscribe to my channel. Please, we are on the road to 500 subscribers, so it would mean a lot if you just hit that subscribe button. Please subscribe to this channel and like this video. So in today's episode I'm going to be talking about the trivial, how to study efficiently. So yeah, like I think I remember last year one of my friends asked me how I maintain my grades. Yeah, and to be quite honest, at the time I didn't have the answer to how I'm maintaining the grades that I was able to maintain. Mainly because people come to you and ask for study tips, and to be quite honest, I didn't have, or rather I still don't have like the tips. Rather what I use are strategies as opposed to tips. So the first thing that I would say is, guys, you need to attend your classes, all your classes. Now what I've realized, what I've noticed about myself when I was in university is that I had informal. I had informal, like I could not miss a class. If I'm not going to make it for a class, to the class, I had to have someone in class either recording the lecture, and because we were allowed to record the lectures, I'm not saying go and record lectures if you're not allowed to do so, but we were allowed to record lectures. So if you are allowed to record lectures, if you won't make it to class, just have someone record the lecture for you. Because the thing is, if you rely on what your friend is going to tell you, or okay, this is what went down in class and whatever, your friend might miss out some things, some important things, and unintentionally so. Because I also saw with myself that like I would take notes in class, but I get to a point where maybe I cannot keep up, and then I just end up just listening, or if I'm making a recording, I just make the recording. So don't rely too much on what your friend has to say. There was this module, I keep going back to it because guys, evidence was a lot, and when we went to class, you find out that the lecturer is only focusing on a certain few slides, and he would tell you that what is important is what I am discussing in class, and the things that he's discussing, the slides that he's making reference to, when you go for a consultation, he's not going to tell you that. Organize. I saw that with myself, I was very organized. With every module, I can't go to the first lecture without having seen the module outline. So I need to know what is on the module outline. I need to know how many tests are we going to write in that course, how much each test weighs, when are we writing, and all that. So when I was doing my final year, there's this module, I'm preparing for law in practice, which I was a top student. Strategy that I used in order to at the end of the day come out as top 1 student in that particular module was this. So being aware that we had like 2 tests, you can write 2 tests, and then one of the 2 tests that you're going to write, only one is going to count, right? And then you had like 2 assignments, and then you had tutorials. So every tutorial counted 2%. One tutorial accounted for 2%, and then I think we had 6 tutorials, which is like 12%, and then we had 2 assignments, each weighing 9%. So it's like 9%, which is 18%, and 18% plus the 12% is like 30%. And then of the 2 tests that you're going to write, one accounted for, so only they took only 1 test that was the best of the 2, and it amounted to 70% towards your year mark. So understanding that a test weighed 70% for me. So in my first test, I got like an 80%, and when I converted that into 70, I think I got like 50 something %. And then when we got the opportunity to write the second test, I mean, when you get an 80%, it's easier for you to just sit and say that 80% is a good mark. It's a good mark. But if you're going to convert that into 70%, then it means that the 20% that you missed weighs a lot as well. So what I ended up doing was, I'm going to go write the second test, even if it means I get like 90%, which is like just 10% above what I got, understanding that that 10% weighs, is going to weigh more, considering that the test weighs 70% of the year mark. I went ahead, I wrote the test, and I got like 100%, meaning that from the 80%, which gave me like 57%, I think, yeah, 57%. Now I went from 80 to 100, meaning that I got all the 70 towards my CUM. The third thing is the trivial consult. I think consultation is important because the person you're going to be asking questions from is the same person who's going to set your test. Most of the times is the person who's going to set your test and mark it. So you need to go to this person, get from that person what is expected of you when you get a certain type of question. And these people, they will tell you, this is how I want you to present your answer to me. And I mean, this is the same person who's going to mark your paper. So if he says he wants that and then you give them that, are you not bound to get a good mark? And also they would make, I think, certain pointers. They would, I think, steer you into the right direction if you were losing it. Yeah, just do go to every lecturer and find out from them, because I realized that, yeah, so many lecturers were following the same procedure and the same structure, but then at some point, I think in my final year, there was this particular lecturer who was not who did not prefer the answers being presented in a manner that we usually present our arguments in other modules. So it's always important for you to just like have a sit down with them and just understand what the next lecturer prefers. Another thing is this: what I've learned about, and particularly about law, is that lawyers, and I've had this, I think, from elsewhere, that lawyers have as their assets their words. We use our words, we use communication as our business, basically. We communicate for a living. So you communicating can be verbally, it can be in writing, it can be reading and stuff. So it is very important for you to really work on your communications. So it is important also to learn to write like lawyers. And I'm not saying go and use a jargon everywhere where you're writing, everything that you're writing, when those big words, when you're using them even where it's not necessary. But if you read, for example, law journals, if you read judgments, if you read law textbooks, you will understand that there are certain terms, there are certain words that are common to all lawyers. So those are the terms that I'm using them, and those most of the words that I'm even talking about are basic English terms that are more prevalent in the legal fraternity, but they are general English terms. I'm not saying go and use those Latin words even where it's not necessary. I mean, at some point, in some situations, yes, you are bound to use those Latin terms. So I know that now what has helped me is I always try to, and I think this is frustrating at the beginning, because I remember in my first year, second year, I would read like a paragraph, and I always keep like a notebook or a paper on the side to just write down the words that I come across. Because if you don't deal with that word that you come across that you don't understand, you're going to come across that word 2 weeks down the line or the following day. So for me, and now I have to, I speak for myself now. I come from a background where communication was just baby. It was just baby. I was never exposed to the English language. I mean, you understand the language, but it was never a mode of communication for you. So many terms are foreign to you, even the most trivial. I'm saying trivial now because I've been studying that course for like 4 years now, and I'm familiar with the terms, but so many of the terms that are trivial English terms were foreign to me. Simple words like contemplated. I'm like, what do you mean? What does the term contemplated means? And when you go through the dictionary, sometimes the definition in the dictionary does not reflect the context from which you are reading your text. So sometimes, most of the times, when I come across a word that I don't understand, I would obviously search the meaning. And if I find out that the word as used in the dictionary does not reflect the context within which I'm reading, I would go back and search this word, the meaning of this word in law, and it will give you a sense of how it's used in legal text and what it means. And most of the times it's the exact same meaning, but just understanding it from different contexts. If I'm making sense. I know I'm making sense. Yeah. At the beginning, like in my first year, second year, I will have like, with every paragraph I used to come across like maybe 5-10 words. And I'm telling you, like literally 10 words in one paragraph of words that I didn't understand. And sometimes it was tiring because you find out that you are reading maybe 4 pages, and then you already have like 40 new words that you have, and you keep on going back to the dictionary trying to understand the meaning. It's tiring at the beginning, but the sooner you do that, the better, because also it helps you, it saves you time for next time when you are going to read another text and then you come across that word. And also just moving forward, when you have words in that text that you don't understand, you're doing yourself no justice, because now you bypass that word, but you really don't. Because if I just pass the word contemplated and then I just read, I'm like, you know what, I'll see it in other texts. What is being contemplated if I don't know? Obviously, I'm not going to care or entertain what is being contemplated, because I don't know what the term contemplated means. So meaning that I am missing information. I think also that's the same strategy I used when I was doing my maths and my physics, because words like, for example, acceleration, you say calculate acceleration, you give us what's this thing, you give us a formula. But for me, it was important to understand first what acceleration is. What is acceleration? What do you mean when you talk about acceleration? What happens when a car accelerates? Rather than just taking the formula at face value and applying it. So now when you get a scenario, you can already tell before even going to the question, you can tell that, based on this scenario, the car was accelerating or was decelerating, or it was moving at constant speed. So, and also that helps you to now avoid the cramming. I remember there was this formula, I think, where they would tell you, if a car is moving at constant speed, it means acceleration is 0. If it's what, then it means acceleration is this and that. And having to cram, now understanding what acceleration means, you don't have to go and cram, if it's moving at constant speed, then it means that acceleration is 0. Because what happens when you go to class, when you go and write and then you forget, when the car is moving at constant speed, is it that acceleration is 0, or is it increasing, or it's decreasing? And I think that's the strategy. So I think this is why it's very difficult when someone comes to me and asks, Vanessa, how do you study? How do I study? I don't know. Guys, thank you so much for watching up until this point.